And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here. What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week? I say they're shopping. Me, I'd be looking to sell. At what price? More. Much, much more. I don't know who you are. Things at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like the region.
It's a wonderful blessing and it's cheerful and definitely happy that the Kabaka is
watching. We will
beyond that stage because the law passed
that she was not the passing of the 18 human rights. The law provides
Wakiso district have clashed over a report that Transparency International Uganda indicate
attractive to the development of not all men in schools is the continuous delay.
Do you expect the teachers to do this?
The fact that minds think alike, being in the right place at the right, be having any conjugal rights, so simply being complacent to the, we tend to a position of disadvantage, but they are in a position where I can barely stretch my leg before, because this is private property. It seems to
evictees them.
I deserve to go 10 years into you know, in that car. Really? No, seriously, people. When someone of trying to cry,
it was found.
This morning that the Kabaka of Buganda has arrived in. So if you are one of those who wants to catch fair.
All right, basically Links Terror Act are now trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
You don't have to arrest me, but close the region. I guess I don't know where other from whatever needs to be. Where and he's doing.
If you leave your home, at least you walk up.
He was actually within
until you say, they are viewers. Anything in part of the preparations for it. He's now trying to get some kind of political opportunism. It gives a platform to FT. That's why I say that it will be extended.
This one. But look, you talk about lodges. There are places where I see Kisasi somewhere. You see about 10 lodges and you're thinking, huh? It's a matter of behavior change, gentlemen. Let no one lie to you that lodges.
Otherwise, people can do it in their houses.
I can go into the lodge and then have protection. So it's behavior change, period.
Well, there we have it, behavioral change indeed. And talking of change, let's change over and run to Mabel, who is standing by to share with us what's happening on the international scene. Mabel, we are told that in Gaza, the situation doesn't seem to get any better. In just one day, 300 were failed. And of course, we also know that President Barack Obama is facing a lawsuit. His crime, overstepping his constitutional mandate. What else is playing out on the international scene?
Thank you very much, Simon. I'm always amazed by that number plate story of yours. I do hope you get your number plate back one of these days. But thank you very much. We shall continue with the international stories here on Morning at NTV. This is a pictorial of what is happening in Glasgow, day 7 as it happens. Uganda still hopeful for more medals than we have. According to the medals table here, we just have 1 bronze. But hey, we are still hopeful. At least our boxer there is guaranteed of a silver. Sekabembe will be talking more about him during the sports segment. The Gaza conflict, Israel is to investigate the school shelling. Israel says it will investigate the shelling of a school where displaced civilians in Gaza have been staying and apologize if it was actually Israeli fire that was responsible. At this point, they don't really think that they were the ones responsible for that. Ukraine crisis, Malaysian and Dutch MPs discuss access to the site where the plane crashed. These leaders are going to meet in The Hague later today to discuss how to access a site to the crash. International monitors have been turned away by the separatists, and according to the Ukrainian leadership, there are landmines in the area. Ebola. Liberia has gone to great lengths to curb the spread of the disease. We saw yesterday that over 600 people have been infected. Some do survive. At least there's a 10% survival rate, which is really small. 2 Americans have actually been put into isolation. Well, Liberia has gone ahead to shut schools to tackle the outbreak, and some communities are actually being placed under quarantine. President Ellen Johnson says the government is going to do all it can to curb the virus that is spreading in West Africa, and that is I should say kudos to her for that. A Somali woman has been killed for not wearing a veil, according to her relatives. Militant Islamists shot dead a woman, and her relatives say it was because she wasn't wearing a veil. She was shot outside her hut in southern Somalia. The militants had ordered her to put on a veil, but they killed her after returning and finding she was still not wearing a veil. Quite sad there. Now, moving on CNN, the MH17 crash site dangers delay investigators. Ukraine warns of mines. People do need to access this, but they have been unable to access the site due to the possibility that there might be mines nearby. And it's quite sad because people want an end to all this. Now, according to the UK NHS, that is the National Health Service system there, people don't want to work on public holidays. So what happens on public holidays is they get people from agencies like temporary staff to cover. Now, it has come to light that sometimes a nurse can be paid up to 1,800 a day. This is like for a 12-hour shift or maybe longer, and they get paid up to £150 or so per hour. And I think that's why people see such things and think, oh, it's probably good to go and do cheyo in the UK, to go and be a nurse because of such astronomical figures. Israel strikes Gaza market during the partial truce. They are trying to come to some sort of compromise, but still the shelling does not stop. Israel launches a deadly assault on a business market, and as international condemnation over the attack on the UN-run school grows louder. Now, on to Al Jazeera. Moscow fights back after sanctions. Now, yesterday we did see that the EU and the US have imposed sanctions on Russia, and this includes a restriction of sales and arms and ammunition, as well as equipment for the oil industry. And obviously, Russian banks can't access capital from the European banks. Russia, on the other hand, now is putting a ban on fruit and vegetable from Poland, and they say it's going to extend to the entire European Union. And it just brings to mind, when two elephants fight, who suffers? It's the farmers with their produce. It's the people probably who, local bank owners, or the people who are in the import and export business. And that's all we had for you here. Morning at NTV will continue after this break.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.
With 1 million shillings up for grabs every day. Kagwida Woku Airtel Money. Simply send and receive money. Top up your airtime or data. Pay for utility bills, groceries, fuel, and much more with Airtel Money. And you could be one of the day's 5 lucky winners. And if Mr. Money and his crew find you making a transaction, you win cash on the spot. Terms and conditions apply.
Airtel Money. Simple, secure, instant.
You can bring everybody in parliament as long as they can wake up and vote for their NRM.
As long as the voters exercise their rights to elect their leaders, there was no need for term limits in Uganda.
I know him. I know how he operates. I know how he thinks.
There are ways you can go around these obstacles.
Why should I conduct myself as if I am Muyai?
It's absolutely true. I admired President Museveni.
Is the ICC a fiscal code targeting African leaders?
You cannot tell me that the whole trouble Kenya had revolved about only the 2 individuals.
The money is not in the budget of this financial year.
You can't beat God. You see, God is polygamous also. Look at Jeremiah chapter 31.
The security of this country will largely depend on the contribution that the people make.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Welcome back. You're still watching Morning at NTV. We shall cross over to Simon, who is on the Serena Hotel rooftop for today's big story. Good morning, Simon, once again.
I'm sure you have all these facts. Very good morning. Yes, once again, we're coming to you live from the rooftop of the Kampala Serena Hotel. And yes, it's the big story this morning. We're not looking at crying wolf for those who live in road reserves undeservedly or railway reserves undeservedly. But this morning, we're again looking and putting the spotlight on tourism, but look at it from the government perspective. This morning, I have the privilege to host the Public Relations Officer at the Ministry of Tourism, who will be discussing with us how the trend of this very lucrative aspect of our governance and our heritage is doing in the face of some disturbing happenings in the places in this country where tourism has taken a strong root. And we're talking about Western Uganda. We'll be right back. Without a doubt,
is that tourism, we do not work alone. All the sectors feed into tourism. The issues that affect other sectors affect us. That money,
talking about what issues? What, corruption?
Infrastructure affects us. Hotels, accommodation, taxation, all those things affect the industry at the end of the day. We do not work in isolation. Even organizing the eclipse, we were not the only ones.
Let's look at people who are at Owini Primary School. Is that the name of the school? If I remember quite very well. That very primary school.
That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
What do I see?
That's what I'm trying to explain to you, Simon.
I think you're looking at this fixed and have broken.
You're looking at this the wrong way.
Show me the right path.
I would appeal to you not to try and apportion blame.
I'm not apportioning blame.
As I'm trying to tell you, it's a team effort with different government ministries and agencies doing different things for one event. So if you ask me about the work done by another agency, I would not be the best person
Maybe,
to
Emma,
answer
we're
that.
looking at a case of too many cooks spoiling the broth. So in the Ministry of Tourism have its own internal capacity to handle some of the things in total exclusion of the other too many cooks who possibly do not know the right amount of salt to add in and spices and the like.
Well, we do some things on our own. We do tourism product development. We identify the products that we think can bring in people. We make policy trying to encourage Ugandans like me and you to visit our own tourist attractions instead of saving money and going, say, to Mombasa or Hawaii. So that is what we're primarily taxed with. Other things, I mean, we need tourism roads. And as you know, as I said, it's a joint sector.
Perhaps the absence of roads is in its own sense a form of tourism. I mean, people go to Europe to see well-paved boulevards, 8-lane and the like. They should come to Uganda to see pothole-riddled roads, and we should promote that as our own heritage. How about that?
Okay, you're being sarcastic, which is not really helpful. Now, the issue of the roads, inside the national parks, we do not tarmac the roads for, you know, ecosystem balance and things like that. But now the roads too, as you know, UNRA released a list. It's public knowledge. The tourism roads are being worked on to Ishasha, to Mount Elgon, to Kidepo. And so the sectors work together. The different government agencies and ministries work together. The tourism sector cannot do this alone.
I understand.
There are things we can do on our own, yes, but there are other things that we all have to work together on.
Emma, I want you to appreciate that, of course, our favorite punching bag is the government, and sadly, you work for government. And so please accept the punches as they come, hard and unfair as they may be. Now, on the tourism roads and the infrastructure for tourism here, I mean, this has been a song that's been sung for so many years. Let's talk about this particular government, in power for 30 years. And one wants to ask themselves one question. Tourism centers are not increasing. It is the same Kidepo that has been there since this country existed. It's the same Queen Elizabeth. It's the same Maction Falls. How come we keep hearing the same song being sung over and over again? When will the time come and say, now all the roads are complete and now let's hit the ground running? When do you envisage that time to come?
We have 10 national parks in Uganda. And they're not going to increase because that is what we have been endowed with. So when you say we have, it's the same Kidepo, it's the same Maction Falls, That's how it's going to be.
Exactly. So how come we
national park in Bugisu? I mean, the national parks are there and they are standard.
Emma, why am I bringing this up? I'm trying to benchmark with a neighboring country that only came out of a debilitating past not so long ago in 1994, and now is looked at as the beacon of tourism. They have less gorillas than we do, but they have created a certain product around them that is the envy of most of us that have
Rwanda
gorillas.
has injected a lot of money to advertising.
Which money I want to believe that we also have advertising and public
and which,
relations.
as I had told you earlier, we have done with UTB this financial year. I think it's about 6 billion. I can find the right figure for you. And that has only happened this financial year.
We are not only interested in how much we're injecting in. I think now we should be looking at how much will come out of that injection.
Yes,
because
and as I told you, the team at UTB has a comprehensive plan.
Stephen
you really should sit down and have a conversation.
He was here not so long ago, and he was telling me all sorts of rosy things, and I agreed with him and will give him every support that he definitely deserves. But should he falter by one? And like you said, should he falter? And I'm talking about UTB. We're holding him to the highest standard because we're giving him top dollar. A very final one. Time not being on our side, Emma. We had news coming in from your ministry that you intend to sex up the national anthem as a way of promoting tourism.
Simon, that issue was put to bed a long time ago.
I'm just resurrecting it. How about that? I mean, I've not had a chance to speak to your minister. I've not had a chance to speak to anyone from Ministry of Tourism. Tell us about this whole thing. Did we get it wrong?
Our national anthem, by the way, in my opinion, is the most beautiful anthem in the world. I've had a number. I haven't had all of them. I've had quite a few.
The Brazilian one looks a bit like a walk rally.
Our anthem is beautiful. We are not changing it anytime soon. Our anthem is staying the same.
So that was a wrong report?
Yes, it was. And the Prime Minister himself came out to clarify that. That's why I thought it had been put to bed already.
No, because I saw video clips on TV, and this was the minister, Honorable Mutagamba, who is your minister, saying, oh yeah, we need to work on this anthem so that it can be more enticing for tourism and the like. So what had happened to her? Maybe you speak for her. So was she in a trance of some sort or something? I'm trying to be very unfair. But
yes, that is really unfair. No, she was not in a trance. The Honorable Minister was talking about popularizing the anthem because, as you may know, not many people know our anthem. Even us in primary school, we had a weird version.
Don't ask me to sing the third stanza.
I also know it. I mean, we just had words were just, I mean, it's not known, and that's the fact. And it should be known because it's a beautiful anthem. And it really needs to be popularized. It needs to go, I mean, everybody should be able to sing the anthem.
As we close up this, Emma? How about putting some money in NTV so that we can run the lyrics of this anthem as a scroll on our TV every single minute of every day? Yeah, for a good fee. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad idea. About the other stations, we'll talk about this one.
Our anthem is not changing, Simon.
Thank you very much. That's very nice to hear from you. And of course, Emma, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of Morning at NTV's Big Story. You have indeed elucidated a lot of grey areas that many people didn't seem to quite understand with regard to how government is performing in the tourism industry. Because for the most part, indeed, we've been having private tour operators, private individuals who are into the tourism industry on this very dice, telling us all sorts of cry stories of how government is not coming in, and your clarification comes in only handy.
And actually, Simon, as we wind up, I just wanted to mention World Tourism Day, September 27th in Bale. Everybody should come. We're all going to camp there for a week. We're going to Kumi, we're going to see the caves, we're going to see the rocks, we're going to climb Wanale Hill. Everybody's invited. And
no fee?
We're also hosting, no fee, of course. We're also hosting the Africa Travel Association in November. A group of about 500 Americans, businessmen, hoteliers, tour operators are going to converge on Kampala, shall go to Jinja. It's a whole comprehensive program for ATA Week. So those are the two.
Can I give you an idea in your itinerary for Jinja? I mean, at a very private level, we've got a dam that's a national heritage in Jinja, the Narubani Dam, 60 years old, built here long before Uganda became independent. That for me is a structure of marvel that maybe some of your tourists could come and pay a visit at. And this is an open invitation from Eskom Uganda Limited, who operate and run that dam.
I will take you up on that. Thank you.
And we'll take you around at no cost, as we always do for others.
Okay.
We'll be right back with Simon Says. Stay with us. It's without a doubt that tourism is one of those industries that will certainly propel this country to the heights all of us wish it to be at. Thing is, government is finally waking up to the reality that, like all the other industries that are pivotal, tourism needs to be given its due attention. And that's being done, at least if what we've heard from the Uganda Tourism Board or the Ministry of Tourism is anything to go by. We are holding on with bated breath because a lot of promise and a lot of hope is out in the air for us to smell and feel and touch. All we can do is, like you and I, will sit back, wait, watch and hold these officials to the highest standard of competence. But that does not mean that we don't have a role to play with regards to tourism. Your first role is at least to embrace it and know that you can be a part of this if you go and see what your own country has got to offer. The challenge is, have you ever moved outside the realms of where you're watching us from, no matter which part of the country you're in? Have you been to another part of the country? Have you been to the opposite part of the country? Have you ever seen how others live or what flora and fauna this country is endowed with? If you haven't, take time off. I know it costs a buck, but what doesn't come with a price on it? Is it the beer that you drink that comes for free? What about the cigarettes that you smoke? Do they come for free? The clothes you're wearing, do they come for free? So certainly you need to do a little bit of financial balancing for you to be able to save up some money to go and visit parts of this country, for you to appreciate the beauty that Uganda does have. For those of you who've never been to Uganda, watching us from cyberspace, and you are looking and grappling with where to go when you next have a holiday moment, the Pearl of Africa is the place to come to. Have a good day. Keep it productive, and let's meet tomorrow, same time, same place.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Follow the beat, follow the beat. Follow the beat. Follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat, follow the beat.
Follow the beat.
Coming soon on NTV. Soon on NTV.
Hey there, Mr. Krabs! Are you ready to party?
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it.
Wow! Hello, fellow motor enthusiastics.
Oh, Mr. Krabs!
Isn't there any way for us to return all of them back to normal?
Hey! How'd he do that? The Red Ranger's a bigger problem than I thought!
It's time to finish this thing up!
What can I do to make them love me again?
What are you drawing, Kitty?
Mega Rangers? Yeah. That's a mega win!
Hello? King Julian, you are truly inspiring.
Ow! SpongeBob! Fantastic!
Mubonyumiro ebyemizannyo jangu nkulage.
Does! And Adam Johnson, the boyhood Newcastle United man, historic, flying in the face of all football logic. A magnificent goal by Robbie van Persie. Ferdinand! Everton lead at Old Trafford. Walcott, Giroud. Suarez. Super Suarez. Gonna backs it up. And wraps it in. Checo. Finds the net. It's spectacular style. Penalty for Borussia Dortmund.
ekifo ekimu kissa wamusu n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo, yogera naffe buli lwakuna otereevu ku NTV akawungeezi.
Kampala has been voted in the past as one of the favorite cities for tourists, one of the most peaceful cities. That is something that is changing.
Kale Kaihura, the Inspector General of Police, and President Yoweri Museveni, their alliance, they can only crack down or stop individual strikes and individual demonstrations. But I don't think they can stop the growth of militancy.
No holds barred.
Besigye and Lukwago have particular grievances against the government, some legitimate, some misguided. What should the police do? Of course, the police has to intervene, A, to protect the power of President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM from disruption by Besigye and Lukwago, but B, also, never forget this, to protect those ordinary people whose property gets destroyed.
I want to ask that many think that they've actually been frustrated.
Opposition parties in Africa do not tend to be constructed around policy differences. FDC lacks a glue to hold its coalition of different power-hungry individuals together.
Incisive.
You see, the NRM is more divided internally than the FDC. The advantage with the NRM is it has political power.
Analytical.
I think that one of the best organized political parties in Uganda is the PPP, the People's Progressive Party of Dan Sali. This idea that everybody is peddling around the world that Africans are poor and they cannot contribute to their own political and social emancipation is crap. In fact, I think that the opposition parties in Uganda have to win an election in an unfair and unleveled ground.
Newsnight with Andrew Mwenda.
On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
Kona. Bano batambulira ku standards. Ez'obwajjajja.
Oyina akayumbako. Life in Denmark basically. Mu bintu by'okucakala, okwegatta, okunyumirwa, okulabagana, okwogera. Mugere njawulo.
Zebetina Namukasa wa the New Eagles. Tonsubwa ne Miles Ramiti this Friday. Kukona ne NTV.
Rovako.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
Welcome back. You're still watching Morning at NTV this 31st day of July. And good morning to some special people whom I'm told are watching from Bushenyi. It is a beautiful place. I do not know when I will be back there. But moving on to some of your messages that you've been sending on Facebook, we have Dupele saying regarding the talk about the national anthem, which is the most beautiful in the world, which they are not changing anytime soon, according to the Ministry of Tourism. Well, Dupele says, let them never try to change the golden song because we will murder them dead. Asuman says, but still it doesn't cater for the illiterate since it's in English, so it should be put in a more simple language for all people to understand. We have Philip Stargate saying, you see, changing the national anthem would be likened to removing ancient boundaries. We cannot betray the very blood sweat that made us. That anthem is good and wholesome. Perhaps let's add to it, but never delete anything from it. Message is coming in from Philip, who says he's in Mutundwe. And Ken Mwesigwa is asking, on whose recommendation is the minister acting on? Now, we do know that the Commonwealth Games are on, and I just thought I had to share this. Bolt apparently said that the Commonwealth Games, he's not having such a great time in UK, but he held a press conference yesterday to refute all that. There's a picture of him here meeting the Duchess and Duke of Cambridge, as well as another picture of him here with kids in Glasgow, celebrating with his paws looking to the sky, and him here with Harry. We do know him and Harry do have some kind of friendship. Well, we shall now cross over to the other side of the hotel rooftop to Brian for today's Everyday Life.
Thank you so much, Mabel. Of course, a conversation for us, we've already started Everyday Life here on the set. But although there may not be some secret recipe to motherhood, especially balancing it with work, some women across the whole world, millions of women, have decided to say, let me quit my job and get to full-time motherhood. We're going to be talking about that today on Everyday Life. How do you make the decision? When do you make the decision? What if you realize it was a wrong turn? Do you go all the way or stop, get out of that taxi, like my guest says, and start something new? Coming up on Everyday Life. And of course, it's Everyday Life. Every Thursday, we talk about balancing that relationship or balancing your family and how we can be better parents and children. And this morning, Olga Ajiri, who is a full-time mother, is here with us this morning. Morning, Olga.
Good morning,
Nice
Brian.
to see you.
Nice to see you.
Ah,
It's
very
lovely
refreshing
to
to
see
see
you
a face I know.
Thank you.
Many of us would be shocked at seeing a woman like you who has lots of potential, because I've seen you in action and you are, I guess the corporate world misses you.
I don't miss them.
You don't miss them. Deciding to say, let me go home and take care of my children. Let me work at home.
Yes.
First tell me about your family.
Well, I'm Olga Ruchogoza Ajiri. I'm married to Norman Ajiri. We have 4 children. We have 3 boys. Nshuti Ajiri, Netanyahu Ajiri.
Netanyahu?
Naigad Ajiri, yes. And Omega, 3 boys and a little girl.
All right.
Yes.
Olga, when did you decide? How did you even get to the point of saying, let me quit work? What were you doing before?
I was working for an organization called Human Rights, an organization in Uganda that deals with human rights. And at that time, I'm not sure that I knew, that I always knew that I would be a stay-home mom. That was far on my radar.
Yeah.
I thought I would go and work for the UN and maybe go to Kosovo. At that time, some of my contemporaries were going to Kosovo, so I thought, yeah,
that's where you're going.
Make some money and maybe join the security department of of the UN and check out those bad guys.
Yeah.
And that
You'll
was
probably be in Israel right now.
That was my ambition then. But also, throughout school, I had been involved in leadership. I was a head girl in Makerere College School. I was a prefect in Maryhill High School. I was in Mary Stuart. I was a chair lady of Mary Stuart Hall at Makerere University. And so when you're a leader, when people view you in a certain certain way and have very high expectations of you. And so when we got married, I just started observing the families that were around us. I started observing those that had full-time working moms and full-time working dads. And for some it was tough, for some it looked very easy. It looked like they were really involved in their children in spite of their full-time jobs. But later on I became restless. In terms of what I wanted to give to my children. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll stay home for just 2 years. 2 years and then I'll quit and join.
Go back.
And I had people asking me questions, did you go to school to stay at home? And I had people say, so but why the education then? Over time I've answered that question. I have thought, well, one of the quotes that I really love by a parenting guru called Dr. Stanley Mukolwe, he says that you can choose who to marry, you can choose when to marry. You can choose when to have children. You can even choose the sex of the children these days. Even if you want your child blue-eyed, you can choose a blue-eyed child. And you can choose where to live. You have many choices. But when the children are here, you cannot choose when to raise them.
Awesome.
You can't choose when to raise them. They're here and they have to be raised. And they can't be waiting, but a career can wait. A career can wait. A home to be built can wait. A PhD and master's can wait. But when a child is here, they're here and they have to be raised. So it's a choice to either they just grow up, you feed them and give them a bed and a roof, or you raise them. And that's got to be deliberate, that's got to be consistent, and it's you're going against the tide. And this decision to stay home cannot be made by one person. Because the decisions that we make in life affect the people around us. So Brian, you don't want your wife to wake up one morning and say, now I've decided to stay home and take care of the children. No, you don't want that. You want a partnership. Because when she's struggling, you don't want her to come back to you and say, Brian, you had made me leave my job. I was moving. I was going up in states. I was at management, just about management level. And I left this job. And so I knew that I wanted to have my children quite early. But also I knew that I couldn't do this. I couldn't mother my children deliberately, stay home without the support of my husband. When I need airtime, who am I going to turn to?
It's him.
It is him. If I need to go out with a couple of girls, who am I going to turn to? When I need a new shoe, who am I going to turn to? So in a sense, even the working mom does turn to her husband for some of these things. But you realize that you're now living on one income. And then you have people who are nagging your husband a little bit and saying, why doesn't Olga work really? And so you're going against the tide. Your contemporaries are now full-time MPs, your contemporaries are managers in NTV, your contemporaries on Stanchart, and how do you handle that? One of the things that I decided was I'm not going to let society define me.
I should probably have had your husband here too, because the pressure, and I'm asking you this from, because I've also, you know, gotten a few people asking me, so what are you going to do in 2 or 3 years? Will she quit her job? And I'm the kind of guy who thinks, you know, you talked about, what if things backfire and you're like, it was your fault. I didn't go up the managerial, you know, position. You told me to stay home, and I don't want to find myself in such a position.
Yes, you need the support of a spouse. You need them emotionally. A child doesn't just need a mother. A child does need a father. You need to be on the same page in terms of your parenting style, in terms of your values. You need to allow to cut down on your budget, to live modestly.
Live within the means.
Yes, live within your means. Again, you don't want, you need to live creatively. You don't want anybody looking at your wife and thinking, wow, it's not worth it staying at home. It's not worth it. If this is what it's going to turn to, I'm not looking bad, am I?
you know the first time I met you was about 5 years ago at a fundraising dinner at the Sheraton, and I could never think you were a stay-home mom.
Yes. And when you choose to be a stay-home mom, you need to be abreast of what's going on also. You need to be, if there is a seminar that you can go to at Serena, please go for it. You need to keep your mind really occupied. And one of my favorite places to go as a stay-home mom is a restock. Because, you know, they used to bother people sitting in the chairs. Now they don't. You just sit back and read a book and buy a book, and you know, you're engaging, so that when you're meeting friends who are in the corporate setting and they've been working, there are things they're talking about, and some of them do look down upon stay-home moms. And you don't want that. You want to engage not just at an emotional level, which women love to do, but you want to engage at an intellectual level. You want to be abreast with what's going on. You want to be able to talk to a minister quite comfortably as a stay-home mom, and at the same time you want to be able to talk to the sweeper in Chukubo quite comfortably. You need to just define, allow, I just say that God is really who defines us. You need to allow God to define you. Because one of the, I mean, even if I was a a corporate person, people lose their jobs on a daily basis. Yeah. And so if NTV defines you, Brian, what happens when NTV closes or when you leave?
Your life ends.
Yes. So your life should, and when we come to your funeral, Brian, we will not be talking about, we will talk about jobs, but really roughly. But we'll talk about relationships. We'll talk about your wife. We'll talk about how you related to your mother-in-law. We'll talk about how you related to the people at work. It's relationships.
Right.
And for me, the core value is family. That when your job ends, you go back to family. When you've had a, even they've battered you the whole day, you just go back to your home. Yes. You know? The corporate setting, you can change jobs. You've been working in Airtel, then you can change and say, I'm going to NTV. And let me tell you something, you change friends and you change, but family remains, is a constant. So constant, and those are the people that will remain with you throughout life. So you want to give much of your life to that.
To the people who will be there.
Yeah, and if you're a mother who decides that, you know, I need to work, we need the income, that's fine too. I do know, Brian, some moms who work and they're more engaged with their children than stay-home moms. I dare say that.
And now that's
I dare say that. So it's not so much your decision to stay home, but if you can't do it, especially if your jobs are very hectic, both of you, one of you has to tone down your career to allow the other person to grow. And then when the children grow, you also can come up.
Right.
And for us, that's our strategy, that I would allow Norman to grow in his career. And then when the children grow up, then I pop my head up.
Yeah, given the quote that you gave, you can always
you can always do that. I know somebody, a doctor in this town, who did her master's at 50. She became a director of hospice, and she was just at par with her contemporaries after that. She could speak the same language, she could command respect, she could, you know, sometimes our jobs define us.
She had her family.
She had her family intact. She's now taking care of grandchildren, but it's worth it.
Awesome.
It's worth it when you're two in it, when the spouses are in it together. It's also worth it when you find a hobby, something that you enjoy to do. One of the things that I've enjoyed doing is leading a Bible study every Thursday. So right from here, I'm going to lead a Bible study of engineers, of people who have left their jobs to take care of children. And they're much younger than me. Some of them I'm probably 9 years, 10 years younger. I mean, older than them. And what I'm helping them realize is that they're doing something worthwhile, something you're not paid for, but something that has dividends, something that has benefits that you cannot exchange for. You need your children as friends. You need, when you think about these societal things like an MP, you know, throwing a tantrum, you think it started where, Brian? It started at the 2-year-old. Don't be thinking an MP throwing tantrums started yesterday. No, it started from just being able to submit to authority. Do your children submit to authority? Can your children understand that, you know, this is Uncle Brian, and age does not allow us to be equals?
Yes.
And so give you the respect that you need as just an older person.
Let me ask you something. Oh, by the way, if you're just joining us, I'm talking to Olga Ajiri, who is a full-time mother. And I guess mothers that are watching us right now, you can relate with this conversation. And guys who are probably wrestling with the idea of letting your wife stay at home, or you quitting your job to stay at home. It's not always about the women. A guy can also decide to quit and stay home to take care of the children. And how do you decide? When do you decide? When do you know it's probably a wrong move? Let me get back into the corporate world. We're looking at that. Facebook and Twitter open at Morning at NTV. You go there, and your questions or comments are definitely welcome. And there are times in the 10 years when you have thought, wrong time.
Oh, absolutely, Brian.
I should have, this was a bad month.
Yeah, absolutely. Every family goes through a strenuous time. A strenuous time financially, mostly financially. Especially financially. And so there are times when I have come to that place where maybe you need to help out a relative. Maybe you need, for those of us who come from large families, it's always a wedding. I mean, it's always a wedding.
And so, they require a lot.
And they require a lot. And maybe your 100K is not, doesn't sound. Yeah. And so there is a pressure sometimes to provide for those things. And those are the times when you feel, oh, or maybe a family is going through a very hard time. And you know, you're thinking, if I had money, I could buy them a car seat. If I had money, I would do this for them. I would do this for them. I would provide for their rent. I would, you know. If you're like me and your heart is moved with compassion towards people like that, yes, you will come to that point where I'm like, if I was working, maybe I would provide for that.
Yeah.
But you also need to realize that you're not Mother Teresa, neither are you God, that you can support them in other ways other than financial. You can drive somebody around, you can help them move house. You can just be community for them, that when they're going to take a child to hospital, you can walk alongside them and take them and wait with them. So it's situations like that somebody needs to clear a bill that have made me think, I wish I had my own money.
And it's taking a toll on your partner.
Yes, and he's working hard and he's providing for you, but there are also societal needs. I mean,
how do you know, and I guess it ties in with what you said, find something to do, but I'll use my personal example. For the 3 months my wife was at home during her maternity leave, she kind of thought she was putting a lot of pressure on me because I come back, you know, about 8 p.m. and she's probably telling me problems. She feels like, you know, I've been at home taking care of this guy.
I just want to engage with you.
And for you, you're thinking, oh my gosh, can you just give me some good news? How do you work that so that you take care of the guy when he comes back home?
Yes.
Without necessarily being the nagging wife. Then the guy starts complaining, but you don't work. Or he regrets having asked you to stay home.
Yes, I appreciate that, because earlier in marriage, I think that we interacted with a couple that helped me understand that when men come home, they want to cave in, they sort of cave in.
Yes.
They go, we call it the nothing box.
Yes.
Where you want to think rest. Nothing, hear nothing, you know, just the nothing box. Just shut out the whole world and still be alive. Yeah. Shut your brain and still be alive. Yeah. And I think that I must admit that I've not always been up to speed with that. With the, you know, you're not always aware of that. You're not aware of it on a daily basis. But one of the things that can help a woman who's been nursing or has been home the whole day is to link up with a girlfriend. Sometimes women are just talking and talking and talking, and Brian, you called it problems, but she just wants you to listen. It is not that you call it problems. From a man's perspective, you want to provide solutions.
Yes, like,
and imagine we're not looking for solutions. We're just, yes, absolutely. You want to solve it, and we're not saying solve it. We're just saying, hear me out. I just want to rent. I just want to vent on you.
Yeah.
And you can do that with a girlfriend. You can have a cup of tea for 1 hour in the day. You can call a girlfriend and, you know, make something nice. I used to call my corporate friends to come and have lunch at home. Yeah. So crash in at lunchtime, have lunch quickly because really it's just 1 hour. Yeah. But I've had a really good, intelligent conversation, and I have had some companionship. So when my husband comes home, I don't have a very high expectation of him. Yeah. Somebody has already had my venting and everything else. And I'm ready to receive him. And you're just telling him,
yeah, you're ready for him.
Yes. But there are those days when that girlfriend is not there. And so he needs to step in as the husband as well. But allowing him 30 minutes, at least in my home, allowing him 30 minutes to unwind. Sometimes I tell him, if you find me with guests, just say hello and go to the room. Right. Just don't feel obliged to sit. Having that freedom that he can go to the room and just slow down. I can even take tea for him sometimes in the room. Yeah. And then he can come out when he's ready to engage the children and engage me.
Finally, you talked about things you can do. Read a book, call some of your corporate friends. But tell us about the support system that you would need as a mother when you've decided to stay home. Yes, your husband is there.
Yes.
But what other support system do you need around you to make sure that you do not regret that decision? Because it's an awesome decision. Staying home is fulfilling to take care of the children. But what are those key people you need in that support system? I think for me,
it's being around people of like vision. And one of the things that I'd like to teach people is mentoring them how to influence the workplace. And so engaging in, okay, Brian, you're my good friend, but who are you mentoring at NTV? Can you spend an hour with somebody on NTV? And people ask you, okay, Olga, what do I do? Can you find out about their families? Can you find them about what they're pursuing in their careers? Do they have a sense of a relationship with God? Can you find out what they're struggling with in their families? Can you buy a book for them? Can you study a book with them? And so for me, it's finding places to influence, and I have influenced individuals, meaning I meet with you one-on-one in the week. I meet you in a group setting like these women. The people that I don't meet in a group setting are probably working. People that I want to influence, but they are working, so I go to where they are. And over the years, I've had lunch with those people. For me, that is a support group in a sense. It's keeping me engaged in a subject that I'm passionate about, the subject of leadership, of coaching, of mentoring. So I feel that I mentor people in the corporate setting. I may read a book on leadership, I may read a book on management, and I might be able to pass it on. And it suits their atmosphere, what they're doing, and that keeps me engaged. The other thing is just engaging on the issues at hand. When I see something going wrong, for example, in the new media, I write a letter. And you may never hear that Olga, she has done something and she's rioting on the streets of Kampala, or she's speaking out loud. But quietly, when I see a leader in society that has done something, they may never admit, but I know that if we went into their laptops, there's a letter, there's an email from an Olga Ajiri who introduced herself over email and said, I didn't appreciate what you did. What you're passing on to the next generation is wrong. That's how I've kept myself really occupied.
We have some comments on Facebook. Very many comments. Malunda Masha saying, good job, Olga. Madame Olga, thanks for those words. I've been looking for that. That's Dora Nabs. With this 2016 budget, I wouldn't advise my wife to stay home, but instead stick to her job. That's what some people say.
There's a price to pay as well.
You can be a full-time mom when you are earning more than those in the corporate world. Start some home projects to keep you going.
Absolutely. One time we had a tenant in a little flat, and one day I just decided to turn it into a fully furnished apartment. And the reason I did that is that then I would have students from all over the world. My kids would engage with these students, international students. I would take them around Kampala. I didn't have to do that. But I felt that doing that, one, was I was being a good host. Two, then the customers kept coming because there's a personal thing to it. I would host them for dinner at my house. And so my children learned about different nationalities, different countries from those people. And they also had a cross-cultural experience in a home. If they have children, I invite their children to play at my house. I have made my home very conducive for other children and very welcoming, so that I'm not just having influence on my own children, but I'm having influence on other children, because my children are not going to grow up in a vacuum. You want to raise a community. And so I have put a swing, I have put a sandpit, I have put toys, I have put so many books, and I'm saying, come engage, so that you're not isolated. There are stay-home moms that are doing many income generating, more than their jobs ever provided for them. I totally admire that. I am not one of those. I'm a governance person.
That definitely can help.
That definitely can help. And I think when you do it over time, I also know stay-home moms who have pursued their masters in bits and pieces, sandwich program, so that it's not hectic. And you're at home, but you pursued your masters. You're at home, but you pursued your PhD. It is possible to do that.
Like that.
Yes, it's possible to do that. And so it's really your ambitions. My ambition is to become a leader in this nation, and that's where I engage.
That's where you're going.
That's where I'm going, really.
Olga must be different, because most ladies are nagging. She's an inspiration. Final one.
Thank you. That's
to
very
a
kind.
mother who is actually got a WhatsApp message from a friend who is probably thinking about staying home, but I know she works hard. I should meet that lady you're hosting today, Olga.
I would be happy to share.
Stella, for mothers who are probably thinking about this, what final word do you have for them?
You must manage the change. You've been buying all sorts of bags for your corporate look. You must manage the change from, you can't have all the bags. You can't have all the high heels. You can't have all the trendy dresses. But you know what? You can still look smart. You can still be intelligent in spite of not holding that job in Stanchart. You can still engage your mind. Go for seminars. There's so many public seminars that come in. If you need to pay, I have had to pay. If there's a leadership seminar in this town, I will go for it. I will pay for it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much it costs, because for me, that's my passion.
Right.
So find your passion. Even when you're at home, you can still engage in your passion.
Right.
Yeah. And I would say, please wait. Don't rush this decision. Talk about it with your spouse. Talk about it with people who know you well. What are your struggles likely to be? Because your struggles may be very unique to you. And your spouse may be totally different from me. Our accounts are totally open. I can go with an ATM, but you know, for some people that may not be. You know, my money is my money, and so you want to know how you're going to manage that change whenever it happens.
Right.
And then who is going to be your support system? You know, I am more engaged with my parents more than my siblings would be, because I think I'm just available. If my sister, I have more time on my hands. So relationships are built along the way.
Awesome.
So there are some, you know, when somebody is going to hospital, I may be available at that point. Not because I am more loving than my siblings, but because you're available.
You're available to do that.
And so there are benefits to that.
We'll spend time, but thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Brian, for hosting me. I
We'll
appreciate
continue
this.
to engage this. I see how with the book, you can actually go and check it out, Raising Future Parents.
Yes.
And she quotes one of the author of this book, Stanley Mukolwe. All right, and go and check it out. Ultimately, we need quality families in this country because we are looking to raising a quality population. Isma, it's probably not the same thing in sport where, especially in Uganda, where the athlete will encourage their wife to quit because they can support. And I don't know if it's sport is very paying, you know, comes with a handsome salary in Uganda.
I think for some sportsmen, especially the athletes and the boxers, they do earn that kind of money that wouldn't need their wife to go working. And I would tell you that, for example, if Fazil Juma Kagwa turns professional, after the Commonwealth Games, he'll be one of those who could probably let their wife sit at home. But for me, it's not even about that. It's about the death of family values. My heart bleeds. I don't know that I have my own family per se, but I see all men and women walk out of their relationships like they don't matter at all. And it always hurts me so much. But I won't be discussing what I feel and don't feel about Ugandan family values. Because we talk about the Uganda cranes, we'll talk about Ronald Musagala. Last night he ran a brilliant race in the 800-meter semi-finals to get to the final. That's later today. And also there was a game this morning between Manchester City and Liverpool. That and more as Brian slides from the family values and motherhood.
Well, it's 20 minutes on to 9. Stay with us.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Mulondo.
I've received the Mr. Mane, I'm questionable. Vananga Chadala, the Valimba, Airtel Kaguirao, sentence punye, the message yinu. I have received the 200,000 shillings of Uganda. Mwebalenyo abakagwirawo
kituufu towakana akakadde kalamba kagwirawo buli lunaku ku Airtel Money kyangu nnyo weereza obafuna ensimbi saako airtime oba internet sasula biru zo amafuta n'ebirala ng'okozesa Airtel Money oyinza okuba omukuba nnamukisa 5 abagenda okuwangula ensimbi buli lunaku ate singa Mr. Money n'ekibinja kye bakusanga ng'olina ky'okolako ne Airtel Money owangulirawo ensimbi mbagirawo amateeka n'obukwakkulizo bigobererwa.
Airtel Money. Simple, secure, instant.
We need to see laws that are deterrent in nature, because we know that when you have laws that are deterrent in nature, then they'll make the vice abuse of public resources very, very risky. Section 74(2) and Section 76(3). Other than looking at 500 currency points, we propose actually 1,000 currency points. And the term of imprisonment is very, very low. 4 years is very, very low when you consider the amount of monies that have been lost. Again, from 4, we'd actually want to see 8 years as the term of imprisonment. Clause 76(1) tends to make it a bit discretionary and a bit relaxed on the part of the minister when it comes to making the regulations. However, we'd want to see the clause being very specific. Other than the word may, the minister must make regulations that are going to enable the operationalization of the Act.
This message is brought to you by CS Bank.
I just wanted to say thank you for telling me about the PA job at NFH. It's just that Q and I will be in each other's lives again.
I'll drop the act, Zuleika. I know exactly what you've been up to. You made your intentions very clear on Friday night.
How dare you come back here again?
Just pay me, damn it. I can't. Suck it up.
What's going on? I have to go to hospital.
If you think I'm going to let you be the power behind the throne, well then, you're not on the throne yet.
And here I was thinking there are no gentlemen left in this world.
Which way are you headed?
Well, that depends on you, Betty boy. Your place or mine.
Oh, this bitch.
Madika has expressed interest in the EIC job.
You're a shameless, arrogant excuse for a human being.
I'm gonna blow your mind and I'm gonna twist your taste buds. The flavors are already coming together. I can feel them. Very lovely, very appetizing, very healthy. Remember, the way you see it, the way you like it, is the way you get it from my kitchen to your kitchen.
Ekifo ekimu kissa wamusu n'ekyalo ekiweddeko abamanye bakiraza mumwa. Tugenda kutuuka gy'oli oyogere naffe ebikwata ku kyalo kyo, embeera mw'okolera, ebyobufuzi, ebyobulamu n'ensonga endala nnyingi. Ebyogerwa tebiyita. Tuusa eddoboozi lyo, yogera naffe buli lwakuna butereevu ku NTV akawungeezi.
Aro, give me 5 stress, 3 gonorrhea.
Kale muli wano, you think you've brought capasas omwana yenna asobola okugamba super deep si myaka gyaffe.
I'm like, I like my swag too. So what about it? Then she was like, I also like your accent. That village accent. Now.
Kati mwagala mchimbi wana kuza kele chili chianu chili okay wale tinsanyu fu weneka political tayakana nomuzanga nakajawa.
Kati nekambuza mukabete why are you crying? Nikagamba abasajja engeri gye bafulumiza mu lukwago.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover. Put that in Kiprotich's accent.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover.
Gentlemen, Jesus came to set you free and to be free indeed.
In life, you don't wait. Yeah. There are certain times where you wait for certain decisions, but when it comes to taking action and choices, you have to move.
Jesus Christ found me, and he actually asked me a question. whether I wanted to live or to die.
Every day of my life was struggling. It's just that God has given me this kind of hope.
GXP every Sunday only on NTV, your official inspiration station. On the next episode, brought to you by
At Orange, we know you want to do more on the internet. That's why we bring you happy hour day and night.
Kona.
Bano batambulira ku standards. Ez'obwajjajja.
Oyina akayumbako. Life in Denmark basically.
Mu bintu ebyokucakala, okwegatta, okunyumirwa, okulabagana, okwogera.
Mugere njawulo.
Zebetina Namukasa wa the New Eagles. Tonsubwa ne Miles Ramiti this Friday. Kukona ne NTV.
Tovaako.
You can download movies at the lowest prices and never fast from Orange. Dial *133# to buy a data bundle. Happy hour changes with Orange. Today changes with Orange.
It's 12 on to 9 o'clock. Thank you so much for staying with us. And this morning we're talking sport with Isma Dakabachigamgel. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Mabel.
Morning.
Looking beautiful.
Thank you. You know, I was very interested hearing Olga, who is leaving. I know friends who have decided to stay home and look after their children. The perception is they are loaded. And I know one friend who has tried to explain it's not really about being loaded. It's about, you know, prioritizing my child and what. But it's a tough one.
We think that the husband has so much money so the woman can decide to stay home.
Yeah.
But even in this area where you can work at home, I don't know why you wouldn't. For example, if I'm doing a baking business, this is something that I could do at home. Bakeries, probably you leave only to go and deliver the cakes where they're supposed to be. There are things like people who work using the internet. I know many of my friends who work from home and they are men, but they spend most of their time at home because their job does not require them to drive into town and get through the traffic. I'm doing all my deliveries on the internet. I'm an IT person. Why would I have to walk out every day and go through the hassle of having to be stopped by a traffic policeman who probably has nothing on me? Something like that. So it's something, but that I don't think it means that these mothers shouldn't be working. They could do some. There's so many homemade things we could do. There are so many of them. There are so many cottage industries. And when I think about the word cottage, I remember my primary school SST, and I'm thinking there are so many things that someone could do while sitting at home. Many of them.
And still spend quality time with their kids. Well, continue the conversation on Facebook and on our page at Morning at NTV, Twitter. And of course, engage us at MBGold2 at MEBKEB at Dakabachigongo. And let's see what we can do about that. But talking Commonwealth Games this morning, did Nasir Basir, I found yesterday I met with a boxer who was so excited, like, mwana for tulaba feba bondia. Ayefa balete midali. Did those two, Fazil and Juma, join Sekabembe in the medal brackets?
One of them did, the other didn't. Nasir Bashir was beaten by the former Olympic silver medalist from Northern Ireland, Mike Conlan. I thought that was always going to be a tough fight for him. He eventually lost in the quarterfinals, unanimous points decision by all the three judges scoring the fight in favor of the Northern Irishman. But thereafter, Fazil Juma was the man because he got victory and is into the semi-finals. That means that he's also guaranteed at least a bronze. And I'm actually thinking it's high time we start to elevate this to a gold. Either Sekaimbo, Fazil, Juma, Kagwa. And I've seen Fazil come through the ranks from the gym. He's one of those boxers who has exceptional discipline for a boxer. And actually, he's one of those who's always, for several years, always looked forward to get into this level. And now he's here, I can imagine how he's feeling in Glasgow, because I've seen him come through. And I have a feeling that if one of either Fazil Juma or Mike Sekabembe is bound to finish with a gold medal. I have that feeling, and probably it's just wishing and I'm Ugandan. I'm first Ugandan before I'm a journalist. Although I'm a very, very measured person, I'm not even a fan of so many things. Is that I want to see, I'm probably desperate to see either of them finish with a gold medal. And they've given themselves a chance. At least now they are guaranteed of a bronze. And there's nothing to lose. We all knew boxing has been let down by the maladministration that has happened over the past 6 years. I'll never stop being so angry about the Uganda Amateur Boxing Federation. They're the reason why boxing got here. And now the amateur boxers have not participated in so many events over the past 5 or 6 years. Here they are. Medals are coming home.
Well, the man said he fought at the Al-Shabaab. He will not let a civilian get him down. So at least Sekabembe, there's a great chance that he'll bring. Well, let's pray for them. Good job at the Commonwealth.
Now, yesterday we saw Nanyondo finish second in her heats. I was so proud of her. So tell us about what you think is in store for her in the future.
She has a semi-final to run later today, and I have a feeling that she'll get to the final.
Yeah.
I have a very good feeling she'll get to the final. The only thing I was disappointed about is that she ran in the slowest heat, because at time of 2 minutes and 05 seconds, I was a little slower. You can get to watch cars repeatedly and enjoy the event even more. But then for me, the big one that knocked me off my chair is that the UPDF will be there to manage the crowds. They are hiring the army and not the usual safety marshals of FMU, not even police, UPDF soldiers. And you know, this year, I hope they come with their red tops, you know.
When we see red top, it's...
Yeah, because it's something that for me is a no-brainer. Fans shouldn't be dying at rally events. If it needs carrying as big sticks or an AK-47, just to make sure everyone who watches the rally goes home safe, let's do it. We need rally more than we need all these people dying. We need
rather
the rally
shoot you in the foot.
No, rather push you out with a gun, with the back of the gun. You know, it's as painful as I've been hit with one before. So I'm going to tell you that. Yeah, but it's a good thing that they have gone to private land, and then they are doing everything to make sure that no one loses their life in Matuga.
Awesome. That's good.
Now, I think I need to understand this a bit more. The Premier League teams playing in America against one another, at least if they were playing only American teams. But you have Manchester City versus Liverpool. And in attendance, we had this guy, Mike Myers. We also had 007. And I saw a joke that maybe he'll wear his 7 shirts since Suarez is no longer part of Liverpool. And also Frank Lampard being part of the people watching the game. So tell us, who won it?
I'll get back to what you asked earlier, but Liverpool won the game, coming from down on 2 occasions, because Man City scored twice through Stefan Jovetic, who was on the bench most of last season because of injury at Man City. But then Jordan Henderson and Raheem Sterling got the goals there. The game ending in a 2-all draw.
Raheem Sterling, the boy I should keep my eyes on.
Yeah, he's not a boy anymore. In fact, actually, he's a father. Eventually, Liverpool winning this in a penalty shootout by 3-1. Man City just missing theirs. I think Yature was one of those who missed just a few hours after he said that he's going to stay with Man City for his entire career.
That boy is confused.
But the thing you said about America, I think America is the dream market for anything you want to sell right now. Cricketers are going there because the ICC wants to sell cricket to America, even if they have baseball. The Premier League is desperate to have Americans watch the game. Actually, last season, I was looking at the figures, 33 million Americans tuned into the Premier League, and they want to push that figure to 60 million.
Wow.
How do they do that? Is by bringing all these teams closer. I know even the La Liga are trying to do the same. Real Madrid are playing in the US right now. Actually, they play, I think, Manchester United tomorrow night, going into Saturday. And they are doing the same because that's the market everyone wants to tap into. Everyone has tapped into China. You know, Premier League teams have always gone to China. Manchester United were the first because they discovered the trick in going to China. Probably not to buy the fake stuff, but to sell Manchester United. Now every team went to China. Now, I think the Chinese market became a bit saturated. Now everyone is turning their attention to the USA. Chelsea go there every other year. Manchester United now.
But why are they playing themselves? If they were to play a local Florida club, or where, you know, where Thierry Henry plays, that New York thingy, wouldn't it attract more people rather than Liverpool playing Manchester in New York?
I think it's important to bring the end result is you're taking the players closer to the fans. That's the main target, I think, for everyone who organizes these games. And actually, both star teams. So I think that's what they want to do. But eventually, they play against these American teams. I saw them play against Toronto FC. They played against Seattle Sounders. We know Manchester United the other week beat up on a village LA Galaxy. Because they played like a bit of an NTV team. They were very, very poor. I could have done 10 times a better job. But eventually, I think the competition, because it's a competition that has several other teams, Man City, AC Milan, Olympiacos, and Liverpool. So at some point, there'll be a Liverpool Man City game. But then the end result, I think, is for me taking the game closer. Whoever you play may not be
Should
important.
also come to Africa because people here sell houses, people here do everything for the Premier League.
Yeah, right.
But at some point, by the way, a few years ago, 2 years ago actually, Arsenal had a visit to Nigeria cancelled because of safety concerns. But Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspur and Man City have been to South Africa.
Yes,
no, but imagine we had them have a friendly at Nambole.
I wouldn't support them to
You
come.
wouldn't
Not
go?
for now. Not for now. Let's build a sensible stadium and
It would
bring
be
them.
filled. And
What
would
would we add to the income of Manchester United?
We don't have to add.
Come on. Really? Castor, we had the Premier League come here.
Yeah.
For
the
now,
trophy.
let them stay in.
The real trophy?
Proceedings there live on NTV. Also, Mwasuze Mutia coming very, very soon. Before we leave you, check out your African proverb. Well, if you have any African proverb to feature on this show, please let us know, and we will definitely feature it. And we looked at that yesterday. But in conclusion, what is your general view of Uganda, the Commonwealth? Are we superseding the expectations?
I've got to say, and it might sound a bit wrong. I know it might sound a bit wrong, but I think personally we've exceeded what I thought we would do. At the games. I think the boys have represented the country very well. Even for the rugby that didn't win games, even for Kevin Mafabi, and I saw him playing one of his table tennis matches against a Malaysian opponent. He lost that badly. But I think they've represented the country to the best of their abilities. Already, without some athletes even going to compete, we already have 2 bronze medals guaranteed in Sekarembia and Fazil Juma, and those could even be gold if they win their semi-finals tomorrow. So there's a lot of expectation there, because when I look back on 2012, for example, at the London Olympics, Stephen Kiprotich, I remember I used to stay somewhere in Ntinda. It was August 12, 2012. I'll never forget the date. When Stephen Kiprotich was running to that gold, I actually stayed in my bedroom. I couldn't get out to the TV because I didn't think he was going to win. And actually, on the Saturday preceding the Sunday, after watching Moses Kipsiro finish 12th, I said, this was it, Uganda can't do anything at the Olympics. Then that morning, I'm being called by someone, Kiprotich is leading. And actually, I told him, how many kilometers? 20. I'm like, he will be out. Don't worry. And then they said, it's 38 kilometers. Kiprotich is leading. And I'm thinking, come on, you must be watching something wrong. You don't know how athletics goes. Then he tells me, Kiprotich is about to cross the line. That's the point when I jump out and come to see. I come to see Kiprotich. It's about, it should have been about after 2 p.m. Now, to have to wait that long to see someone win an event is very, very painful. That's why everyone goes out and says, no, Uganda teina chesobola. But some of it teina chesobola is because all of us have this mentality where we have, I think Ugandans deal in mediocrity. We all think we can be mediocres and be fine. But now look at where boxing has been and all the things that Rogers Dungu and UABF did and the Uganda Olympic Committee. And look what they are doing. They come back and start to win medals. So I'm very proud of what they've done. And I hope Winnie Nanyondo seals it with a medal, whether bronze or silver or gold. I'll be very, very delighted.
My takeout this morning, please trust our boys, trust our team, and let us support them. Tonight, 9:50, we could bring the medal home. From us to you, have a fantastic day. Soul Moment will be continuing, and of course, we'll be switching live to Zimbabwe for the 21st anniversary of Kabaka Ronald Muwenda on the throne. Bye-bye.
You're watching Morning at NTV with Simon Kasiate, Mabel Kebirunji, and Brian Molondo.